okay, well, explain that to me. He said, well, it's a creepy idea, it's a creepy show, and if they watch it at midnight, it's even creepier. I went, okay, well, hold that thought a minute. Having been partners for 20, 25 years, I know how to translate things like this with him. So I went to Meg and to our product team, and I said, listen, my phone knows where I am, it knows what time of day it is, and to the second, it knows what time sun will set here in Banff tonight. Also knows to the second what time sun will come up tomorrow. So I said, could we tag a piece of content that you could only watch at nighttime? So she went back, and the engineers came back, and they made a little presentation to us, and they designed a one sheet, and it's called Spielberg's After Dark. And in the bottom corner, there's a clock, and it's ticking down to when sun sets, and you can watch it. And then the clock starts ticking to when sun will come up, and it'll disappear. So he said, okay, that's good. So there are lots of fun things that we can do with it. But as I said, there's so many great filmmakers and storytellers and writers are excited by the challenge of this, but they're also, I think, equally excited by the financial model that we have created here, and I think it's important and relevant for the room. And so I've spent 40 years in this business, and it's in my blood and my DNA, and I think, I live it, I breathe it, I love it. I love storytelling, I love storytellers, and I've come to understand that there are two things that are quite essential to almost all of us that do these things for a living. And those two things that are important to us are fame and fortune. If you have fame and you don't have fortune, you're not that happy at some point. If you have fortune and you don't have fame, you're not so happy. So we tried to actually conceive Quibi where we would give both fame and fortune. So the fame part is these lighthouses are released one every other week. And we're spending $470 million marketing both the platform and our content in year one. So the idea that stuff's going to get lost or that these things are not going to have a moment in which they have the greatest profile to them, it's just, that's not going to happen. So then the economics of this are, and I'm going to use the Free Ration, the show that's shooting that Anton Fuqua is doing right now in New Orleans. It stars Stephan James, who was in Beale Street and Homecoming with Julia Roberts is this amazing, incredible new star, and Lawrence Fishburne. And so it's 2.5 hours long. There are 15 chapters. The chapters range from 7 to 10 minutes a night, so nothing is longer than 10 minutes. We paid cost plus 20% up to $6 million an hour to make the show. And so in that case, it's on location in New Orleans. It's kind of like a dog day afternoon, so there's a lot of complications around streets and crowds and all of that to make it very real and relevant. So it's at the top. It's a lighthouse for us. It's $15 million. We paid the cost of the show, 100% of it. We paid some breakage for stars, so we want stars in our shows. So we paid some extra cost to get the stars in the show. When Antoine goes with his director, Steve, to edit this, they will make two versions of it. So the first version of it will be the Quibi version in its 15 chapters. That version is exclusive to Quibi, so it's a license deal. We license the content, and it's exclusive to Quibi for 7 years. At the end of 7 years, it reverts to Antoine, and in this case, he's partners with Sony. And at the end of 7 years, they own it free and clear. We have no ongoing interest in it whatsoever. But when he also goes to edit the show, he will do a second version of it. And the second version of it, which is, think of it as more of a traditional movie, that will be edited into something designed to be watched in a single viewing. That'll be 2 hours and 5 or 10 minutes, because the rhythms for something you watch in a chapter of time versus something that you watch in a single sitting, it literally has a different cadence to it in terms of how you edit it. So there will be a second version, so let's call that the movie version of it. 2 years after it airs on our platform in its Quibi version, they're allowed to take that 2-hour version and sell it globally. And so 2 years after we've marketed and promoted that, the value of that is going to be pretty extreme. And I know it because people have already approached people that are making content for us, and who is going to buy it? Apple, Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, HBO, like the list is growing every day, and they are looking for great content, particularly IP that is shown to be successful, that's been marketed and promoted. So these things have a giant upside. It's the first time in my 40 years in the business in which we are making it possible for all creators and producers to, and even the studios, to own their own IP. And that is, I think, part of why we've gotten the best talent.
So someone in this room approaches you and is successful. They get 20% markup on their actual cost with a reversion 2 years later unencumbered?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to say that out loud. That's a pretty special, pretty spectacular business model.
And initially I thought everybody was coming to Quibi just because what a great guy I was.
Well, there's that.
And then I realized, well, maybe it's the deal.
Now, in the world, you know, we talked earlier this afternoon about the fact that there's going to be 46 direct-to-consumer players in the Canadian market and possibly more in the U.S. As you know, it's wagons west. And everybody's in the game, and everybody's bragging that they're going to spend X billion dollars on content, and it's a bit of a horse race, as you know. And all the verticals are feeding their integration model, Jeffrey. So it's a puzzle on the floor right now in many ways. So I'm curious about the fact that we all know that the 46 really are 6, and how's that going to play out in the midterm, and where do you fit?
So, okay, I think that the answer is, I think encouraged by the extraordinary success of Netflix and honestly the amazing job that they've done, the company they've built, the user experience they've created. They have now shown the way for a new marketplace. This is something we've seen in our industry multiple times before. If you go back, CBS was the first broadcast network, then NBC, then ABC, then Fox. HBO was the first cable subscription, and then Showtime and Stars and all. So this is common in business. And so I think that a lot of people, encouraged by the extraordinary success of Netflix, are now going to dive into that pool. And I think we are going to have some spectacular successes, and we're going to have some spectacular flameouts that are going to occur in that. But the way I look at it is that I think that if we come back here 3 to 5 years from now, and you look at a typical 25 to 35-year-old consumer of media, I think that they are going to have the following sort of foundation of how they get content, which is, I think likely they will have 3, maybe 4, but my guess is more likely there'll be 3, let's call it movie television platform portals, that they are given more content than they actually can or want to watch. And I think people will pick and choose based on, brands and the type of content that's being made. And so there are things that differentiate. HBO is differentiated from Netflix. So that's a choice that people will make, and I think there'll be about 3 to 4 of those. In music, we will have, so that's, call it something like a triopoly or quadropoly, whatever it is, 3 to 4. You'll have a duopoly in music in which there'll be Apple or Spotify. And the third one, for me, I actually believe is Quibi. Nobody is doing what we are doing today. So you have several, 2.5 billion people who have a device who are watching now short form content on the go during the day. If you are 25 to 35 years old and you are watching an hour of television during the day, you're underemployed. So it's just not how people, just so you know, if you take HBO, Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu, all four of them, less than 10% of their viewing is on a phone. That's not who we're competing with. We're no more competing with them than Spotify is competing with them. If you just say, well, it's for the dollars, yes. In a macro sense, are we competing for dollars? Yes. But for eyeballs and for viewing, we're not. What we're doing is taking what is this tried, true, tested form of consumption and now offering people a premium version of it. And what I would say to you is in the history of mankind, I don't believe that anybody here could name a widely distributed, widely consumed consumer product that when somebody came along with either a better version of it, a premium version of it, a luxury version of it, there wasn't some group of people that would actually migrate up to it. So think about it. It's true of the car that you drive. It's true of the hotel that we're staying in here. You know, water is free. We pay for bottled water. Quibi, bottled water. What's the big deal?
Jeffrey, there are many business models out there. For example, Hulu is a 10-year-old company and only does business in the United States. They have yet to expand to Canada and other territories. Whereas Netflix, as you know, is in 170, you know the deal.
So
What is your strategy?
So we're a global platform. Our deals for our content are global deals. We will launch in North America on April 6th of next year.
Canada and the U.S.
Canada and the U.S. And then we will roll out, well, I don't know, man, it's possible that this time, by April next year, maybe Canada won't be in North America anymore, given politics, but you just don't know anymore. But anyway, assuming that you're still North America, we'll be here, and then we will roll out globally, because a good part of what we're doing does require localization. All the daily essentials, or a good number of them, need to be localized in this, and so we'll quickly go to English speaking, and then we have a plan to roll out around the globe.
So April 6th of 2021, a year out.
2020, not 2021.
No, I'm saying a year out of launch. How many countries do you think? All the major ones?
I don't know. I don't want to speculate, because I don't know how hard that's going to be.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Do we have any questions from the audience? We have about 3 minutes left. And
well, I'm going to be one half of answer.
yeah, that's a good point.
Yell it out.